when did you realize that Jesus was the living spirit in you and not just that story you heard growing up from all the adults in the life?
I was 13 and I was having not a real good day, sitting on a hill looking into the sun. I parked my mini bike and I was just in a deep thought that day, and I heard his voice for the first time, and I knew he was there, but I didn't have a relationship with him, so I wasn't sure about that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just kind of went off of what I knew, and then right after that I started making some really bad decisions, trying to find my way through the mess, and he was with me the whole time. This foxhole prayer, oh God, please get me out of this. I promise I won't do it anymore. But just, save my butt this time, and it was always there, and then I got into treatment. I got way into the drugs and alcohol, and I was clearly over my head, and I couldn't do it anymore. I would rather had been dead than to keep going the way that I was going, you know what I mean?
Probably was spiritually dead.
Oh yeah, spiritually dead, way dead, and I didn't want to live anymore, and some friends of mine decided that maybe I need to go into treatment, and it completely changed my life. Our counselor used to tell us, to put your shoes way up underneath your bed, and I couldn't understand why she wants me. I have to get on my knees and get up under the bed, and then one day it dawned on me when I was getting my shoes out. I thought, well, while I'm down here, I could be, praying to God and thanking for my, sobriety and stuff, and it was kind of funny, but, and that's kind of how it all started. It opened the door for greater things, and that's when I started building that relationship with him, and then throughout the years, I would find myself sometimes into situations. One was like a really, really big one, and I had gotten myself into a relationship that I should have never gotten into, and God was still right there in the middle, you know what I mean? And I would pray that God would just, open his eyes and help him realize he's got a good wife, and, and I'd be crying in the truck, all day in the truck at Moody Radio. Moody Radio would play on the radio, and it would always, always, always say exactly what I needed to hear. It was God speaking to me. Yeah.
So, and this is a tough one because the Bible talks about marriage as being,
Yeah.
But I tend to believe that not every marriage is a godly marriage.
No.
And sometimes you have to get out to be able to find your relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of church,
They
don't support that. But
and I tried
that's
everything.
my belief.
Yeah, God told me to stay still. He said, "Don't leave yet. Give it everything you've got," and I did, and I stayed there. And even a year, he had gone to prison, and a year after that, still I was trying to reconcile, trying to get him, and it just wasn't working. It was time to move on, but in the darkness, through everything that I went through, God was there, and he rescued me from that, destruction, because I was sinking down. But one day I was out riding my bike, and I was coming out of Catlin, and the sun was setting, and so I seen my shadow, me and the motorcycle on the road, and I said, "Look to God, there's me and you," right? And I just kind of said it, And then for the first time in my heart, I heard him say, "I love you." And oh my God, I cried like a little baby, and it was so amazing, that relationship. He became the father that I didn't really have, He said he would be a father to the fatherless, And as a kid, he gave me my uncles, My father wasn't able to be there for whatever reason, It doesn't make him a bad guy. It just means that he didn't have capacity, But God gave me uncles that would fill those gaps and stuff, and I have amazing family, that has taken care of me along the way. But that's when God became my father. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I knew everything was going to be okay after that, and it was.
Yeah.
And the things that he's been showing me along this path, my walk with him has just gotten that much stronger. And I've it was hard for me to differentiate between, is it my voice or is that God's voice? I didn't know if it was really him talking, but then if you're listening enough, that's what the Bible says. If you're listening, you practice that, then it's him. And I could tell it's got a signature over everything, and I know when it's God, today. And do I make the right choice every time? No. I still, but I do so much better. The closer I walk with him, the better my life goes. It's amazing what he shows me. Miracles all the time. Whether it be looking into the face of somebody that needs help and that's desperate, and that we can help them. He says you can't just say, oh, well, you're having a bad day, or you're homeless and you're hooked on drugs, and well, I'll pray for you. We have to do what we need to do. God rescued me from the hell of my addiction. So that I could be the bridge, to bring others to Christ, or bring them to a safe place in recovery where they could find their own way to God,
Exactly,
and that's what we do. And it's amazing, when it shows in their eyeballs and they light up and they start getting it, and then when they start getting that relationship with God, and it's so much deeper, and the freedom that comes from that, freedom from active addiction, freedom from worrying about what happened in the past is gone. It's gone. And you have all this to look forward to in the future. And it's amazing what he gives us. So many people take for granted, I think. When you're looking hell in the eyes, I think it's when you come out of that, it's a lot easier to be so grateful for the little bitty things.
Yeah, that's... We're definitely got like blinders on to the blessings, and we want to focus on so much of the negative in our lives instead of looking for them blessings that are there.
He's so good to us.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, when they come into the program, they'll say, if God was such a good God, then why did my grandma die? Or why did my kids get taken and stuff like that? And they don't realize that it's by their own doing a lot of times, their own actions, their own sin, or maybe it was just grandma's time to go.
Right. With my son, as I told you, he passed away, I look at it as, how can I be mad at God for taking my son when he gave his son so I can live in eternity with my son?
Wow, right.
And that's how I had just turned it and looked at it, because I can't be mad at him. I mean, look what we did to his son.
I know. And everything that I've been through and survived in my whole life has got me to this point in my life. You know what I mean? So, he had it all planned, and I didn't even know it, And there's been times when I've worried about something that there was no reason to worry, because he had it all along. He knew what he was doing, and it was a setup. It was a setup for where I am today. So, I love God, so much, and he's so good to us, and I'm just so blessed.
Yeah. Yes, that's so blessed. That's we all are. We just look at it and accept it.
Yes.
Dang it! I got something in my throat. So on the other side of the separation, when did he really, when did you, I don't know, because you already said it. This is where the pre-interview, I can edit all this out.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find out where to go, where we're going next with it, because it's all been good.
Yeah. Like open doors. When did he start opening doors? When I started being obedient. I think that, because I with everything that happened in my life, I had a problem with trust issues. So, if you haven't been, how do I put this good? If you haven't been raised by an earthly father, that teaches you to trust him and that teaches you to love God. I see this a lot in the program. Then how much harder it is for somebody like that to be able to trust God all the way. You know, you're still pulling back on the reins. You're still trying to control it. You're still trying to do it yourself, like a little kid with a shoelace. You know, no, I do myself. You know, and to fully release everything to God and just give Him the reins and see what He can do. You know, go, I don't know when. You know, He's given us all the promises. He wants us to know who He is. He's given us everything right there in the Bible. All we have to do is, you know, He wants a relationship with us. You know, He wants us to know who He is. It's not a mystery who God is. He tells us right there in the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, so I love my relationship with God now. And I can get mad. I can get like, I don't understand. Why are you doing this to me? You know, type of thing. And it's okay because He's cool with that, you know, because He knows that eventually I'm going to come around and I'm going to say, oh, well, you know, I'm sorry. You know,
He's a good father.
He is a good father.
You can have that
Yeah.
there back and forth, you know.
Yep.
Just, why? And he usually answers
Yeah.
in his own way. We might not like it, but
Yeah, I may not like the answers all the time, but it's always for our best interest. That's the thing, you know.
now you mentioned Joyce Myers before,
Oh, yeah.
and I just want to touch on her a little bit because what you said really hit me earlier, and I don't think we had the camera on when
Yeah.
you said
Where I was watching Joyce Meyer once, and she was talking about how God would try to tell you something in private, you know, first. And he did. He tried to tell me in private several times, and I wouldn't listen. And she said, when God tries to tell you in private and you don't listen, He'll tell you in public. And it's always a whole lot more painful, you know, and it was. I mean, it hurt, you know, because, everybody knew that I had a problem. You know, I was the only one that thought I still had control over everything, and that was clearly not the case. You know, I thank God that He had sent people my way that knew what I needed more than what I knew what I needed. You know, and all they did was just extend their hand out and give me a suggestion. You know, and I just, the white flag, wave the white flag, I'm done. You know, you're right, I'm done, I give up. You know, and I had a choice. You know, you could go with this nice guy who works at the treatment center and believe in God and just trust Him that everything's going to be okay. Or you can keep living the life that you're living and it be chaos. You can keep going down this path of destruction and you're only going to get the same thing you've always gotten. You know, if nothing changes, right?
yeah.
So you got to be willing to change. You got to be willing to trust God. You know, and like I said, He's always got our best interest at heart. So.
Okay. And my last question for you is, if you knew you wasn't going to be around tomorrow, what would be your last words to somebody about Jesus and, you know, who He is?
I think I would stress to them that time is short. I mean, my father passed when he was 49 by an accident. You know, look all around us, people are dying at a younger age these days. Tomorrow's never promised. You know, seek God while you can. Get it right on this side. You know, because once you're called home, you know, that's it. There's no, hang on, God, let me take care of this first. You know, He said, leave the dead to bury themselves. You know, follow me. You know, and that's where it's at right there. When you follow God, your life can be so amazing, better than you ever dreamed that it ever could be. You know, I had my vision. You know, I just wanted to stay clean. I just wanted to learn how to stay sober and be okay. You know, I had no idea. You know, if I had just gotten that, I would have sold myself so short because He had so much things, you know, so many other things planned for me that were by far greater, you know, than I would have ever dreamed. I never thought ever that I would be in the position that I'm in right now.
The
You
joy
know,
that He gives you is more joy than you could
Yeah.
ever get from any of that stuff that you've done.
oh, I know,
in the
right?
past.
It's a high like I've never had before.
Yes, I
You know.
agree. Yes.
It's cool, you know.
Yes.
I love
Okay.
it.
I thank you for your time. It's been great.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for doing this.
yes, and